Welcome to ADHD Whiskey. My name is Matt, and today I'm talking about distilleries and bourbon brands in 2023 that are super exciting, kinda alright, or just plain bore me. Just like some of these bourbon brands I'm gonna mention, this video is gonna be exciting. So strap into your 5-point harness, buckle up, and let's rock and roll. First, let's talk about some bourbon brands that aren't like super exciting, but aren't boring either. They're just kind of playing in the middle. They don't have us extra excited for new releases all the time, but they do release new things or new batches from time to time that kind of get our ears perked up a little bit. First off on the just plain average list is Woodford Reserve. Woodford Reserve is not exciting. It's not boring, but let's face it, they do a master's collection every year. It's usually like 90.4 proof or whatever the heck they proof their whiskey to. They do a batch proof every year, which is exciting somewhat. Sometimes they put their whiskey in like a $10,000 crystal decanter and sell it for $1 jillion. But I just can't get super excited about Woodford Reserve, and that's why they made the average list. Following up on the just average list, in terms of excitement anyway, is another legacy distillery out of Kentucky. It's Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey got some stuff going on. They do a new Master's Keep every year. They do some Rickhouse stuff. They've played around with 13-year Russells and a little bit of extra aged stuff. But their bourbon is still only one mash bill, and I just can't get super excited about one mash bill. I do love Wild Turkey, don't get me wrong. Friggin' dig Wild Turkey hardcore. I am visiting the Wild Turkey distillery for a Russell's Pick this summer, which I'm super excited about. But since I haven't been able to get my tiny little hands on any of their recent special releases, I just can't get super pumped about it. So Wild Turkey is neither boring nor exciting, it's just kinda in the middle. Also on the average list, probably the most average on the average list, is Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill is just plain average in terms of excitement. They do release 3 batches of ECBP every year and 3 batches of Larceny Barrel Proof. They have their Heritage Collection stuff and some distillery only releases, which are pretty cool. But in terms of extra super cool exciting things coming out of Heaven Hill, there's just not a ton. And the fourth and final brand on the just average side is Old Forester, after Jackie left. Because dang it, Jackie gave us what we wanted. I think what we've learned from the just average list in terms of excitement and excitability from these bourbon brands in 2023 is when you're doing a great job and you've been around a long time, you don't need to be exciting. You just need to produce good stuff. I think we'll do the boring list last. Let's do the exciting list next. Now when it comes to these exciting bourbon brands, I don't have any skin in the game. The only thing I have skin in the game about is today's video sponsor. Today's video was brought to us by our brand new channel partner and the savior of my face skin, Tiege Hanley. What's Tiege Hanley, Matt? Great question, glad you asked, Matt. Tiege Hanley is uncomplicated skincare for men. If you've been following along, you'll know that I've lost over 100 pounds since last April. And if there's one thing I've learned while losing weight, it's that taking care of yourself feels good. But taking care of yourself doesn't have to stop at nutrition and exercise, no. You can take care of yourself in other ways as well. For example, your ugly face. Or for a better example, my ugly face. I have what some nurses, particularly my wife, would consider to be extremely large pores. Those pores on this big face and on this huge nose get extra filled with crud quickly. But since I started using Tiege Hanley about a month ago, my wife has complimented my skin twice, which is 2 more times than she's complimented my skin in the last 10 years. So check this out. First thing you'll notice in your Tiege Hanley box is a card explaining exactly how to use your Tiege Hanley products. I've been using their level 3 kit because this thing is a total disaster, but starting out with a level 1 will still get you the daily wash, which I just did, an exfoliating scrub to scrub out those pores and get them nice and tidy, and AM and PM moisturizers. And since I'm going extra hard with the level 3 kit, I got the super serum and the eye cream. We all scream for eye cream. I've never even used any sort of skincare routine myself personally. I just have never done it. And I was a little intimidated at first. I was like, how in the heck do I take care of my skin? But it's actually really friggin' easy. Does it take a little bit of extra time in the morning? Not much, not really. And this AM moisturizer has SPF 20 built right in, which is like a big middle finger to the sun. Am I the most gorgeous man you've ever seen? Absolutely not. Am I much more gorgeous than I was a year ago? I would say so, yeah. And because Tiege Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers a really special deal. Click on the first link in the description below and you'll get 30% off your first box plus a free gift. As if the gift of beautiful, luscious skin wasn't enough. Thank you, Tiege Hanley, for sponsoring this video. Thank you for making this presentable in public again. And thank you to the viewers for supporting the people who support this channel. Now let's get to the exciting bourbon brands. What we noticed about the brands that were neither exciting nor boring were that they've been around for a while. They don't have to do anything crazy or outside of the box to get people to buy their bourbon. When it comes to the exciting bourbon brands, we're gonna see some similarities. Mostly these exciting brands have to do extra special stuff, extra weirdly, and extra different to get attention to their brand. You're gonna notice that a lot of these brands are sourcing their whiskey from other places. But just because you source your whiskey from somewhere doesn't mean that you can't make something exciting, different, and appeal to the people. First up on my exciting bourbons list is Pursuit United. Ryan and Kenny from the Bourbon Pursuit podcast started making their own whiskey. Ryan and Kenny wanted their own bourbon brand, they wanted their own label, but they didn't want to source the same whiskey from Indiana that a lot of other people are doing. So they got whiskey from all over the place, blended it together and made a whiskey with a super unique and delicious flavor profile. And they recently released their Oak collection, which is them dipping their toes into the finished whiskey game. What they're doing isn't easy and is not cheap, and I give them a super big high five for going out there and doing the damn thing. Super excited to see what Pursuit Spirits does from here on out. Next on the list, Sagamore Spirit. Sagamore Spirit is a whiskey company out of Baltimore, Maryland. They're distilling, they're sourcing, they're blending, they're finishing. They're mostly known for their rye whiskeys, but a little birdie told me that there may be some bourbon coming down the road at some point. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, super excited to see it. Super excited to see what Sagamore is doing in the future. Other bourbon brands I'm about to show you are sourcing their whiskey from Indiana, but then putting their own twist on it. Penelope, Penelope, Nulu, Doc Swinson, and Barrel King. Sourcing their whiskey from Indiana, putting their own twist and special finishes on them, thinking outside of the box, and taking charge in what some people would call the experimental realm of whiskey. Oh, almost forgot Foregate. Foregate goes in that mix as well. And speaking of excited, this Barrel King right here is my own blend. I blended a 7-year MGP blend for Barrel King. It's 126 proof. It won a silver medal at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. And then that blend that won the silver medal rested inside of a rare Kentucky bourbon barrel for several weeks, where it got much better. What rare bourbon barrel was it finished in? I don't know. I have no idea. I can't really... Shit. I can't say. But it's a good one. And this bad boy is available to my Patreon community on Friday, April 28th. Another exciting bourbon brand? Starlight. This is another Indiana distillery, but not the big one. This one's a small one on a family farm. Starlight is doing amazing things with their own distillate. They're finishing a lot of whiskeys in crazy casks. And I'm a huge fan of Starlight and super excited to see this brand continue to get bigger and bigger. Blue Run. Blue Run is breaking ground on like a $13 kajillion distillery in Kentucky. They're very forward thinking and have whiskey that's aging more and more as days go by. They have a really unique and cool single barrel program, and I'm really excited to see what Blue Run does here in the future. And the final two distilleries that are probably the most exciting distilleries in the bourbon industry right now. Two producers of bourbon that are just like doing crazy stuff. When will they stop doing crazy stuff? Probably never, because they're on a roll and that roll is buttered good. Bardstown Bourbon Company doing crazy stuff. From sourcing whiskey to producing their own, they have their own distillate over 6 years old now. What won't Bardstown Bourbon Company do is probably a better question than what they'll do next. And Jack Daniels is like the Tennessee version of Bardstown Bourbon Company. Now that Chris Fletcher and Lexi Phillips are steering the ship over at Jack Daniels, what in the heck are they up to? Who in the heck knows? They probably have secret meetings where they stare at each other from across the room, talking about ideas that no one's ever ideated before. Jack Daniels and Bardstown Bourbon Company are two brands in 2023 that are thinking way outside the box. They've got no governor. They just go as fast as they want in whatever direction they take themselves. And I dig that. I friggin' dig it. Way to go, Jack Daniels. Way to go, Bardstown Bourbon Company. These have me pumped so hard. Sorry if I got really excited, I can't help it. I'm just an excitable person. Now that we've talked about the most exciting bourbon brands in 2023, let's talk about the few bourbon brands that bore me to death. I know some of you Four Roses people out there will dislike the fact that the first thing on my list is Four Roses, but boring. They have a lot of mash bills, they have a lot of yeast strains. I love Four Roses, it tastes so good, but what in the heck? What are we doing? There's nothing super exciting that I can think of off the top of my head that has me super gung-ho about Four Roses. Maybe put in another rose once in a while. 5 roses, 6 roses, 7 roses, 8 roses, 9 roses, 10 roses, 11 roses maybe? Maybe 12 roses. That would be a dozen, and a dozen roses would be a great gift to us as consumers. A little bit something different. Think outside the box. What do you have up your sleeve that rocks our socks? Nothing? That's what I thought. Boring. Another boring bourbon out of Bardstown. The question wasn't where it will fall on the list, but will it fall on the list? And obviously the answer to that is yes, because Willet is boring. Do I love Willet Rye? Yes, it is one of my favorite ryes ever. Is it extra exciting? No. Willet is so not exciting that I don't even know what to say about it, because there's nothing really to say other than Willet. They make stuff. They make stuff. Unless, of course, you're one of the people with billions of dollars who buys their purple top bourbons, Willet is just not exciting. Nothing to be excited about. Some more of you might disagree with this being on the list, but Maker's Mark? Boring. They put different license plate numbers on some bottles every year and finish that young whiskey in different wood staves and call it a day. It does not stoke my fire, baby. It does not. It does not get me excited. Apparently they're releasing an older bourbon, like a 12-year Maker's Mark or something like that. And for a second I was like, hells yeah. Then I realized it was still under 100 proof and I was like, hells no. Why would they do that to us? If you're gonna release something exciting, then make it exciting. Boring. Bullet released nothing ever. Boring. But as boring as it gets. I missed Rare Character on the exciting list. I forgot about Rare Character. Rare Character is exciting. And the final bourbon brand on the boring list, you probably guessed it, Buffalo Trace. Because although their whiskeys and bourbons are exciting, they're the same ones every year. They're not innovating or doing anything different. They're expanding their distillery apparently, but we haven't reaped any of the benefits of that. Buffalo Trace has come out with a new E.H. Taylor product every year, like last year's E.H. Taylor Rye Barrel Proof that didn't exist, or did it? Or maybe it didn't. I've never seen a bottle, but apparently it was supposed to be a thing. But like I said towards the beginning of the video, when you're doing things the right way and you're making some of the best whiskey, you don't really have to get crazy and do different things. Buffalo Trace is a perfect example of that. Everybody wants their bourbon, but nobody's like super excited about what's coming out of there next. Mostly because they're not coming out with anything special or different, and also because whatever's coming out of there you can't get. Who knows where it goes? Straight to Billy Flips-A-Lot. Straight to Facebook and Johnny B. Not a Scammer. He probably gets all the Buffalo Trace products, because that's where I see them. That's the only place I see them. Buffalo Trace. Boring. Anyway, that was my list of not exciting nor boring bourbons, super exciting bourbon brands, and extra boring bourbon brands. In the comments below, leave me a note and tell me which ones I missed. Which ones would you have switched? Am I a crazy person? And no, I'm not drunk. It's just the middle of the day and nobody's home, so I'm allowed to talk a little bit louder. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and click on the first link in the description below. Go show Tiege Hanley some love. Get 30% off your first box and a free gift. My name is Matt. This is ADHD Whiskey, and like I always say, keep your head in the clouds, but your mind on not being so boring. Go out there and have some fun, do some things. Do some fun stuff. Make a little love. Sing a little song. Do a little dance. Make a little love. Get down tonight. I don't know. Life doesn't have to be boring, so don't make it boring. Love you all so much. See you on the next one.